Hello everyone and welcome to the University of Arts London College of Fashion 2025 Fashion Business School postgraduate podcast sessions. These series of panel discussions have been driven and influenced by the exciting and topical fashion industry related subjects researched and delivered by our postgraduate master's programme students for their final major projects. They cover current and relevant themes shaping the wider fashion industry, such as global supply chains and policies, psychology in fashion, online environments and inclusivity, and the use of AI. We hope that you enjoy these sessions and thank you for listening.
Hello, thank you both so much for joining me today to chat about fashion and sustainability. My name is Olga and I am the lecturer in fashion marketing and sustainability at LCF. And with me today, I have Sanya and Ritu, who are both recent graduates of UAL and LCF particularly. So I'm really, really glad that you're both here. And I would love to kick us off by brief introductions of the two of you. So why don't we start with Sanya?
Thank you so much, Olga, for having us here. So, my name is Sanya, and I'm from MA Fashion Entrepreneurship and Innovation. And I just finished my course and submitted my work. So, I think that's enough.
Congrats. It's a big step.
So much. And my name is Ritu, and I did MA Fashion Design Management. And yeah, I'm also just done with my course.
Fantastic. Congrats as well. It's a massive, massive step. So why don't we then reflect a little bit on your journey, on your MA journey, and particularly on that MA dissertation that you were both working towards and just completed. I wonder if you could both tell me a little bit about what is it that you studied? What topic did you choose to sort of research? And what were the sort of key takeaways of that research? Why don't we start with Ritu?
Okay, so my topic was around micro and small businesses working with eco printing and natural dyeing techniques, and how can they scale these techniques, and whether circular practices can help in scaling those techniques. Because a lot of, from what I've seen in the industry, is that people want to move towards sustainability, but they don't really know how they can scale it and whether they can make it into something that is mass produced, because that also can contradict the very idea of sustainability. And a lot of businesses who are working towards like natural dyes and eco printing, which also, by the way, if anyone's unfamiliar with eco printing, is it's printing with real leaves and flowers and natural dyes. So something like what I'm wearing today.
Wow, beautiful.
Yeah, it's naturally dyed and everything. So people use these techniques to, because they are zero waste and they are minimal waste and sustainable, and people really align with the principles of slow fashion, but they don't really know how they can scale it and whether it is sustainable to scale it. And because a lot of businesses, when they start off with these techniques, they start off with something of a linear model, but incorporating circular practices can actually help them in scaling these techniques as well. So that was what my research was focused on.
Fantastic. Was your research based in the UK or?
Yeah, it was based in the UK, because a lot of new businesses are moving towards it. They are moving towards storytelling and sustainability. And personally, because I also have a small business and I do work with eco printing and natural dyes, and this is something that I also was trying to see whether you can scale it and how can you scale it. And that's why I wanted to pursue it. I wanted to see how different businesses are working with it and how they are incorporating circular practices and whether those circular practices can help them scale it or not.
So fascinating. And we'll unpack a little bit more as we progress with the conversation, but thank you so much. As you were speaking, it's sort of, and there's this constant conversation of fashion sustainability not fitting together, which is true because sustainability is about conservation and fashion is about moving and change and the constant sort of evolve of trends and whatnot. And so to me, sometimes I like to just speak of clothing sustainability, taking away that fashion element. But it's really interesting that you shared that. And also the sort of paradox of how do we scale those more environmentally friendly initiatives So yeah, we'll touch on that. But thank you. That's brilliant, and great to hear that it's happening here in the UK.
Thank you.
And thank you for modeling.
No,
That's
thank you.
amazing. Right, shall we move on to the second project?
Perfect. So I will just trace back to like why did I join LCA first? So basically back in India when I did my graduation in fashion designing, I made this avant-garde collection which was like very unique and very grand. But actually when I made it, I realized that it's actually not sustainable because it's good for like a one-time shoot, but when it actually came to commercializing or utilizing it for actual like wearing purposes, it's good only for like celebrities to own it, and also like one time purpose where it's not that practical. And also like because I invested a lot of like raw materials into it and money into it, so in that way it just turned out to be kind of a waste in that particular terms. And that's why like when I decided to like shift and work upon my design concept, that because I want to work on something conceptual, but I don't want to work on something which turns out to be like a museum piece, something which is like waste. And I'm just putting like so much into it, but at the end, it just like ending up into a landfill. So that's when I like wanted to like reframe my business idea, and that's why I came to LCF so I can like study entrepreneurship. What all different aspects go into it, and for this, also because I was like back then I was into like dramatics and modeling and some I'm in activism a lot. And so I thought that how I can, infuse knowledge from those industries into like my business. So through this entire year, I was working on this concept called the Unifit. So basically, what I came up with is that I actually broke down the avant-garde pieces into like normal, simple structures, where, for example, it's basically a chord set. But in a normal chord set, you would have like 2 to 3 pieces. But this entire chord set, you have like 8 to 10 pieces, in which you can transition from like minimalism to maximalism, from like day wear to evening wear. So for example, like one unifit can actually create like 5 to 6 different outfits.
Wow.
You're in which you're actually saving a lot of money, and also you're getting that designer wear piece but in like an affordable price. And also because you can restyle it with your existing garments as well, and also you cross pieces from different unifits. So that's what I was working upon. So basically I also want to like promote like vegan fashion as well, lifestyle. So that's what my fashion film was also about. So I collaborated with like different vegan brands in London in like perfume, jewelry, makeup, accessories and everything, where we came together to create a fashion film, and we showcase like how vegan fashion can actually be fun, and and also be desirable without you feeling that it's a sacrifice. So I turned up really like a good project with it was so collaborative and it was like so good. So
I mean, so multi-layered, so much has
Yeah.
happened.
it was because I think it's good when you like infuse knowledge from your past experiences and also like different industries, and you work collaboratively. That's something really turns out to be good, and that was my kind of purpose of this project. So but yeah.
Fantastic. When you were speaking, some things came to my mind, this idea that often creativity is overlooked in sustainability, or even if we think about that circular economy that you mentioned as well. Also sort of balancing profit and and circularity. It doesn't have to be one or the other.
Yeah.
Can we find creative ways to drive profitability through circular initiatives? I think that's really important. And I guess, coming from entrepreneurship background, that's something that you'll probably be up against, and just us in the industry in general.
That's true, because I think during this entire year, I was struggling to either choose sustainability or creativity, which happens with most of the people who want to pursue both. But at the end, you realize that you don't have to choose either. You just have to choose a very clever way of integrating both of them together. For example, if I show you my collection, it's not that you will see it and look at it as, it's a boring piece. It's something that, it's a typical sustainable wear. No, you would find it exciting. You would find desirable. But beneath it, it has so many layers of it being sustainable, it being vegan, and everything, and so many people coming together to make it. So it's just that how we explore different ways to make it, and how we communicate that product, really affects it a lot. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's just swiftly move on and think about the sort of key takeaways that you found in your dissertation projects, and yeah, what were the key learnings?
For me, I think so. What I did what the way I approached the project was I interviewed approximately 9 micro and small businesses who were all working with eco printing and natural dyes because they really align their business ideas with slow fashion and sustainability. And what I found was all of them were incorporating circular practices in their own way. And it really did help them scale their business. But scaling for them did not mean profit, like
Okay.
in terms of the numbers, in terms of scaling the amount of products they produce or the amount of markets that they do or the sales that they do. But for them, scaling meant changing the mindset of people or just changing the laws and policies around them to incorporate something towards something that is more sustainable. And this is something that I also found in the literature as well. When I read a lot of literature around it, which I also personally did not know that scaling can have so many different meanings. There is scaling up, which is your changing the mindset of people, that is scaling deep, and scaling up is when you change the laws and institution policies through your work. And then there is scaling out where you actually do it through numbers. So there are different ways of scaling, and this is something that was really interesting for me to find out, which is what the businesses themselves did not know about this literature theories, but they were very aware of what they really wanted to do. And through their goals of what they wanted to achieve through their business, they wanted to scale in that direction. And while combining these different scaling strategies, they could scale in the way they would want and they could achieve their goals. So it could mean that changing people's mindset and, changing the policies around it so that more people are moving towards sustainability and promoting their techniques, what they do, natural dyes and eco printing. This is what they wanted to do. And this was something that was really interesting for me to find out because, again, like we think scaling is just this one thing of scaling in numbers, producing more and more products, but it is actually contradicting the very idea of slow fashion and sustainability. And that is what the brands also felt like. Yeah.
So almost what comes to my mind is that business as usual versus, moving beyond that. And rethinking how we do business and what's valuable and what are our sort of internal values and that guide us.
And it was also about how their circular practices, what they have adopted, are helping them achieve that goal. Like in terms of changing people's mindset about sustainability through their products, they could incorporate different circular practices that would help them do that. Like maybe having repair and recycling workshops that could actually really help change people's mindset and that would promote their techniques as well. And that way they would scale their business.
Yeah. Absolutely. The thing that comes to my mind, and as I'm looking at you with that lovely scarf, there is a lot of misconception around more sustainable options being maybe less durable or less attractive to a consumer or to the consumer. I wonder if you have any thoughts around, durability, technicality of, more environmental printing, natural dyeing, and these kind of options. From an expert perspective, what's the state of art there?
I think these techniques are they are like a lot of people think that it might not work because these are natural dyes, natural prints, they would fade off, they're not very durable. But the whole point of sustainability is to make it durable so that you can use it for the longer time and also not harming the environment. So the kind of products that like for example the way I've produced this scarf would be using leaves and flowers which are all decomposable, so it doesn't harm the environment. It's not producing any sort of waste as compared to like, I don't know, digital printing where you would use chemical dyes to print anything. It would like maybe limit your options, but then again putting the creativity aspect onto that would be a different sort of way that you can explore with these techniques and like make it more creative for yourself. There are a lot of possibilities with leaves and flowers, the kind of dyes that you can produce through natural resources, and it would not harm the environment. So apart from like the durability is also the fact that it would not harm the environment, which is what sustainability is aiming to do. And when it comes to durability, I feel like people just have this idea, but if you do take care of your products enough, this is where the circularity comes in as well, where you repair, you re-dye the products, or there are so many possibilities that you can do with like natural dyes and natural printing, because you can re-dye them, you can, reprint them with all of these things, and it would make it last longer. And I think that is what people shy away from durability sometimes as well, because they do want to chase trends, they do want to go to something new. If there's a shirt that I've been wearing for like, let's say, five occasions, I wouldn't want to wear it more than that. But this is where people come in with sustainability. They want to change people's mindset about the consumer's mindset about, why it's okay to wear something for more than 5 occasions. And this is where the durability also comes in, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to be able to reprint,
Yeah.
when I'm sort of done with something or a color, or to have that option.
Yeah.
Because I think, sometimes you can have the cake and eat it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, anyway, that's great. Thank you. Okay, over to you, Sanya. Do you have any sort of key takeaways, key learnings from your research?
I think Ritu had more experience towards production side of sustainability. I would say my project focused more on marketing side of it. Because I think both go in hand, because I had already spent like first 2 blocks in researching and testing about my concept of Unifit, and my final master project was actually about like how to market it. Because you can make all these beautiful pieces and everything, but when it comes to preaching someone about sustainability or veganism, they just put their hands up and like, don't tell us this, just show us a product. So it's very tricky on how to really connect with people. And through my research, I think what I realized was really understanding your consumer market, like how are they getting connected to brands. For example, I studied like different streetwear brands in India which are really gaining a cult following, and it's like very rapid growth that they're gaining. So I was trying to understand what consumer psychology are they using to attract like Gen Z and millennials, that even though they're selling like basic pieces, but they're selling it for like a high price which people are ready to pay. So I wanted to understand what are those touch points are they kind of attracting, or they're touching, that people are connecting to that brand. And I realized that it's all about community building. The designers really need to come out and talk to people, build that personal connection with them, than just putting out just different posts of their products and ask people to like buy it. That's not going to happen anymore. For sustainable brands, I feel where they're lacking is they're not connecting with people personally, than just preaching about this is the concept, this is what the materials we used. People are not interested in reading it, people are interested in the way you're connecting it to them. So that's why I was researching about how to really connect with Gen Z millennials. And that's why I found about, okay, they're interested in more like fashion films and more fast cut paced videos that they kind of connect to, and trend telling, using social media kind of insights. For example, recently the DIYs, or the styling get ready with me reels, that were trending. So I kind of made my fashion film based around that, where I'm telling them how to like really style yourself in different unified pieces, but in a very kind of interactive way. I didn't write vegan anywhere. I didn't mention, that this is sustainable or anything. It was just like a very underlayer thing that was going on, which is kind of communicating my product as well, which is making them attractive, but also like, giving off that message also. So it's really like very tricky to market all of these things. But I think what I really understand is about getting deep people on board which really are aligned with your ethos. For example, when I collaborated with these different brands, I really specifically mentioned that this is my project is about. This is like what I want to aim, and I know that your brand ethos is also around creating vegan products. So I want to create really something that is kind of mutual to both of us, and this is what you can get, and this is what we can get out of it. So I think that mutual basis. Also with artists, I was like very clear with them that this is what we're creating. So I think when you have that common ethos aligned with your team, that's really important to first set up a creative team and then sell your product across. So I think that was a major learning, I think, to really connect to people first, understand that how the market is going, because you can't just go around the old traditional marketings of like hoardings and everything. So you really need to learn like what people are into these days and just build your marketing around it. So I think this is what sustainable brands need to do these days. Make it really fun, exciting for people to really desire it.
No, this is fantastic. I mean, I actually always try to preach that, we have to have sustainability weaved into the fundamentals. It's not something that we just shout at the end when, just as a greenwashing activity. Um, you're very right in terms of how do we then go about telling a creative story. And again, storytelling is something that we do all the time as people, as humans. We even storytell when we sleep, we dream. It's so ingrained that I think that's what connects us. Nike, they're doing storytelling super well. They are selling you as an athlete, and that's why I think they're so successful. We definitely, I think, as sustainable marketers, we have a lot to learn in terms of how do we communicate that without being too much in people's faces.
I agree. I feel like a lot of these conversations around sustainability is very limited in the industry, within the industry. Like a lot of people don't really know about it. When you go outside and talk to like the normal, regular consumer, they don't necessarily know what circular fashion is. They don't necessarily know what sustainability really means. And I feel like it's really like we are within the industry lost in those conversations, and it's not really going outside of the industry. And I feel like that is where the marketing comes in, and like connecting with people and letting them understand what these terms mean and what it really means to be sustainable.
Yeah, just to go back to your scarf again. When I think about selling a product and marketing a product, I would love for someone to just walk up to you and say, wow, beautiful scarf. Where can I get it? Where can I have the same? It's, soft. It looks luxurious. It looks like it's a beautiful design. And then at the end, you find out that it's actually made ethically and it's made from, natural dyes. And that is just the cherry on the cake. So I think there is, that work to be done still.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, for example, I think when I was studying or researching about all of these things, one thing was really common about, breaking the stereotype around sustainability, like how people think of it as a pity-driven concept, whereas it is not. For example, if you take a luxury, brand which naturally make leather goods or something, they promote it as luxury, as desirable products, because they market it in a way. But for us, I think sustainability comes into a way we kind of preach it as, please take it, please take it. It's good for you. So I think when you're pleading
Like
people,
medicine.
when you're begging,
Or vitamins.
So I think when you're begging or pleading people too much, it kind of pushes them away. It doesn't attract them. So I think that's what I really found about that. You really need to market sustainability as a new luxury, as a new age attractive piece, that it's desirable. It's the new age kind of, kind of status that you need to gain. It's not a pity driven concept. I don't want people to, have pity on animals. I want them to see as, they're also creatures that deserve to live. So, and that's what I'm wearing. So I think that's the concept about breaking the stereotype about sustainability as a whole, not only from the production end, but also how you're conveying to people, how you're connecting with people, that really matters as a whole. So, and sustainability has so many different layers. It's about like ethical, vegan, a circular, ready to wear, all of these things that come into it. So it's not about, just one aspect that we're talking about. But I think all the brands, I call it the social design brands basically, who have a common purpose. So I think it's very important for all of them to like, see how you're perceiving your brand yourself. Are you looking at it as, something as pride? Or are you looking at it as something as, pity driven, or, something as, as a second option?
Preach.
Preach.
I love that. Okay, I guess we're sort of touching on all these sort of challenges, but I wonder if you had any particular challenges along your MA journey or in your dissertation. Do you want to kick us off?
Well, I would say it was like a really long 3 months. I did realize every single minute of it, but it was equally fun, I would say, because it's something that really interests me, and because of my brand, because I've worked with these techniques, I know how the intricacies of it is, and like interviewing those brands and like talking to them about their journey, really it was really inspiring, and it was really something that pushed me as well to pursue it even more. And I would say that was like really inspiring for me, the entire project and like the topic and the way people approach scalability. It really gave me like sort of a direction of what I would want to do with my business as well, and how I would want to scale it, and how I would want to change people's mindset and where my goals and vision lie. In that sense. So yeah, it was really, really at the end of it, you just feel like you did something substantial, and you feel like really, I don't know, just happy, I think.
Have you come across any particular challenges from the industry perspective that you were not aware of? And now you are.
I think so, yeah. I think a lot of people, I thought because a lot of brands are sort of established and, they would know how to like, navigate through the challenges that they go through. But this is something really, eye opener for me, that sort of everyone, b- regardless of whether they have been in the industry for 3 years or 10 years, if they are the sole owner of the brand, they go through the similar struggles that I go through as well. And it's always around just like the lack of resources and, being able to like manage different aspects of the business, which which is something you would think that after a certain amount of time you would know how to manage that, but it's still a struggle for a lot of people. So it sort of felt like, we're all in the same sort of a boat, and we're all going through like similar struggles, and how they navigate through it was something that was really inspiring for me to like know.
Fantastic. I really love to hear when researchers are so well positioned, you being a business owner and in this space as well, being so well positioned to carry out this research. So kudos and well done. Thank you so much. Moving on to Sanya, similar question, challenges.
I think as a student, major challenge was finance and resources. Because of course I wanted to create my collection, but I again didn't want to make the same mistake as my undergraduate collection where I make something really fascinating, but of course it's not financially or economically, sustainable. So I wanted to keep that in mind while creating my garment, so that I could take it as a proof that okay, these garments are possible without spending too much. So that was a challenge for me. But because of course London is expensive to source products from, so that was a challenge, like source different markets and scout around and look for the best product without being too expensive. But also I think major challenge was collaborating with different artists, because on personal level, if you don't have finances, you have to call people on collaboration, but you also have to convey your story. Now personally, I not a person, of course, because I've learned through my activism so far that you cannot push your learnings onto someone, you cannot push your beliefs onto someone. If someone believes in it naturally, it's good enough, but you cannot really tell them okay, you have to believe in veganism, you have to be an animal welfare. You can't do that. You can only tell them that this is what I want to do. And it's really challenging to get people on board for such a kind of tricky concept, because you want to be them on board, but you also don't want to push it further so that they feel that okay, this is too much. So I think for me, collaborating with different artists and independent people was kind of a challenge. Also like managing different dates, working with them simultaneously along with them business report was something that I really found that okay, it's taking a lot of time. We actually shot twice.
Wow.
So because I think the first time the product didn't come out like I wanted to, and the second time of course we like short of time and everything. So also because I was presenting in London Fashion Week at the same time, so it's just like too much for me to like grasp at the same time. But I think this journey has been more professionally and personally like very enriching for me, because I think I grew a lot in terms of like how to communicate professionally with artists, and also how to create your personal boundaries when I worked with different brands as well alongside. So I think that part was kind of really helpful for me.
Amazing. Fantastic. I always say that where the challenge is, there your task is. So that's the motto moving forward. But yeah, I wonder then, just as a wrap up activity, I wonder if there is something that you would change in this industry, if you had the power to, for it to sort of happen overnight. If you had the power for that to happen, what would be the one thing that you would change?
I wasn't prepared for that. Oh, well, I don't think anything can happen overnight, but I think if it was to be, I just want people to like let go of, their own perceptions. Because I think most of the if not, if you don't even talk about sustainability, if you talk about all the environmental issues, I think people have this habit of putting it on other people. This is not our thing, this is your responsibility. For example, if I'm you know um spreading dirt or garbage around in particular part in my country, then the other person in the other country would think that, okay, this is her, like, problem, just not my thing to live with. Whereas people don't understand that if I'm doing something wrong environmentally in one part, it will affect you at the end.
Yeah.
So I think that me versus you narrative needs to break, because everybody needs to take responsibility of themselves, that if I choose to buy something ethical, something sustainable, that will at the end have an impact. If everybody chooses to do it, that small efforts kind of bubbles up and produces into a large effect. So I think that kind of stereotype that, okay, if one person can do the change, I think that's something that people need to break. Because I've seen, like, when I've worked with people, even if, like, I still receive messages when people say that your work into like the sustainable, ethical and vegan fashion throughout the years has been so much that I actually start thinking about veganism. So I think if I could like make a change for that one person throughout these years, then I think we all can. So um that narrative of it wouldn't harm me if you're doing it, that needs to like change. So I think if that ego that people have, if that could break, I think that would be great.
Yeah. I wish I could have the power to do that. But it's a great one. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I agree with her as well. I feel like people need to be like little bit more open-minded about, you know, other people's perspective as well, and like not be as rigid in terms of what they believe in, and be a little open-minded in terms of like accepting new things or new perspectives as well. Like we discussed before, having like sustainability as something that is fundamental and not something that is like an add-on to
Preachy.
yeah, exactly. So I feel like that is something that I would also like to change, like some being that being something fundamental, because we see so many fast fashion brands and we know it's harmful, we know it's producing a lot of waste, it's exploitation of a lot of people, labor, but we still go for it, and we still can't go away from it. And just like incorporating it was working out before, but like now we're in this stage, in this day and age, where all of these things are actually not, it's harming the planet, it's harming our very livelihoods as well, and slowly it would diminish everything. So just knowing that people, just if they could uh, you know, just abandon fast fashion brands and just move on to something that is more sustainable, and every brand could just like establish sustainability as a fundamental thing rather than an add-on. I think that would be really great.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, I think we're coming up back to the point of people need to like stop thinking it as, if you're choosing the sustainable ethical path, then it's sacrificial. It's not. It's just about you need to explore more. It's just that 1 second of fraction of you clicking that buy purchase button from that fast fashion brand, that you need to stop and see that there are other alternatives and I don't have to sacrifice. It's that I need to be more mindful of what I am doing that affects the other person as well. So I think that self accountability needs to be there than leaving it on to like, okay, future generations will handle it. Well, we are handling it now too much.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah, and it's like every person, if they're taking their own responsibility, it's also about, the brands would take their own responsibilities and the consumers as well. Like, because, like I said, these conversations are within the industry, they don't really necessarily go out in the public. And if the public could also take that responsibility for themselves, like, what I am doing could actually harm the planet, like, the brands would do what they would do as well, but the consumers also would take responsibilities for that. And it's like, this balance that the brands would take their own responsibilities and the consumers would take their own responsibilities, and that could like really change the industry, I think.
It just brings this concept of voting with your wallet, right? So like we all have the power to some extent within our own capabilities to spend our money in a certain way. and we have that choice. So I think that the message here coming from the two of you is that let's use that choice wisely.
I mean, it's funny, for example, when somebody says that it's getting very hot like these days and we need more AC, and I'm like, I think you're also contributing to it. So it's like very easy for people to just see the consequences but not take a step back and see, okay, I also contributed to the global warming. For example, like when this conversation happens at home with my mom, she's like, it's getting very hot and the climate is getting very warm. I'm like, yeah, I think maybe we should have switched off the AC. Maybe we should have done that. So I think everybody's talking about the consequences that are happening.
But they don't realize that.
We are doing.
We're the ones who are doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. So a little self-reflection is the message. Thank you so much, both. This has been such a pleasure, and I have learned so much, to be fair, about the niche topics that you've embarked on and the contributions that you're making to this industry. And thank you. The industry really needs you, and I hope that you'll continue doing what you're doing. And yeah, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thanks so much.
Thanks. It's been really fun.